All right, so we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to CAS 360 Singapore Level 1 session. My name is Jennifer, Account Manager for BGL Singapore, and today I will be going through with you the Level 1 session and the foundational session for CAS 360. So, a couple of few housekeeping matters. I've posted a link on the webinar chat, on your Zoom webinar chat. This is a link for today's manual. You can get a copy on that. We will also be sending a copy of this manual after the trainings. This session is also recorded, so all attendees is also on mute. If you have any questions, kindly post your questions on the Q&A section of your Zoom toolbar. So if you locate your Zoom toolbar and click More, select the Q&A option to post your questions on the topic as well. All right. So I think we had some few more coming in. All right. Okay, so everyone, so we're going to go through the fundamentals and foundational features of CAS 360 and potentially all the basics that we have over here. In today's session, we're going to cover lesson number 1, getting started. So in this topic, we'll go through how do we set up CAS 360 ready for your company, your firm, your practice, and your team to use the solutions. We will also go through the different types of navigations, including the navigation toolbar, your resource hub, and how do we add other users into the software as well. In lesson number 2, we're going to learn how to add or load companies onto CAS 360. So there are different ways to add in the company data, whether it's manually adding them in directly onto the software or using our search registry tool that helps you to purchase the data directly from Accra and convert them into a CAS 360 readily available and readily readable data onto the solutions. We're also going to learn in lesson number 2 how to process company registrations, which will include processing your incorporation documents as well. In lesson number 3, we'll cover on different types of company changes, which includes your company address changes. So in the address changes, lesson 3 will cover on how to manage your registered office address changes, location of your registered CAP, and also how to navigate with managing your contacts and addresses in CAS 360. Lesson number 4 will cover another type of change, which is relation to your officers and members changes. That will include changing different types of officers, like appointing your officers or resigning an officer, whether it is a director or a secretary. We're also going to learn how to process a member's changes. For that exercise, we'll learn how to do an allotment of shares, do a transfer of shares across different members. And in this lesson for members change, we're going to cover how to process and set up your nominee shareholders and registrable controllers as well. In lesson number 6, so this is more on the lesson number 6, we're going to do another type of change which is very common called the company name change. So CAS 360 has the ability to process a company name change into the software, which will also include preparing the documents related to company changed. And lastly, your global documents. So global documents allows you to manage all the documents that you export out in CAS 360. So there's two different ways of navigating the documents. One is global and the other one is on a company level. All right, so I think I'm gonna repost for those who have just logged in for today's session. I will be reposting the link once again for today's training on the webinar chat. So you can click on that as a reference. You can use that also as a guide as we go through the training session today. So just a very quick one. The link that I sent, again, reminder, it's on your webinar chat. To navigate through this particular manual, you can simply click onto the ribbon tool on the right. So along the way, I'll be using this manual as well. If you want to go to a specific topic, for example, you can simply click on the text in blue, and this will bring you to that exercise as well. Now I'm going to go straight to the CAS 360 solution. Now, when you first starting with CAS 360, the first thing that you'll be able to receive is a welcome to my BGL in CAS 360. So as a new users, these are the two emails that you will receive. So you've got your CAS 360, no reply at bglcorp.com.au as a welcome email. It will show to you the company name, your organization's name, and with the title, Welcome to My BGL. Now, once you receive that, this will prompt you to accept the invitation. The login link is valid for 5 days for security reasons. So when you click, you need to make sure that when you receive this email, set up as soon as you can to allow you to access to BGL platform and also to your CAS 360. So if you are the account owner, essentially this is the first thing that you will receive as well. And once you make a payment of the software, you will received the CAS 360 email. So this is to essentially activate your access to the software itself. All right. Now, once you receive this email, so also something that I would like to highlight, if you are not able to locate these emails, always also to check your spam folder, as because the type of email is essentially no reply. So maybe the settings of your email might block this particular email. So do check it on your spam folder if it doesn't go to your inbox. All right. Can anyone want to check again? Are you can everybody hear me? Hopefully people can hear me. I think the audio is a little bit soft right now. Hopefully everybody can hear me. All right. I would assume that everyone can hear me. Otherwise, I'll continue on as well. Now, once you set up the CAS 360, you can now log into the software in My BGL portal. So I'm going to go through the difference between a My BGL portal and also the CAS 360 software itself. But I want to also highlight this particular link over here. This is a very important link that I would highly recommend everyone to bookmark onto your browser. This is to help you navigate easily when you want to access to your solution quickly. You can simply just put it as a bookmark, and so that you don't have to keep typing in the domain as well. Now, your email, your username will be based on your email address. It's quite similar to the email address here, as I'm using this email address. This is my username, and you will need to set up your password. So setting up the password essentially starts when you accept your MyBGL email first. Okay, so the username and the password is similar to your MyBGL portal and to your CAS 360 software. So when I click on logged in, essentially it will bring me to the main dashboard of the software itself. And as a new users, what you will see on the left-hand side will look something like this. You have empty slots of the list of company selection. If you have engaged our client success team to do a bulk import, you will see the list of companies under your company selection. As you're getting started along, I would highly also recommend you to make sure to expand this section over here. This essentially will show to you what we call advanced filter. So depending on which tab that you are in, it will show to you the available filter in relation to that tabs. So I'm gonna give you a brief, introductory onto the dashboard, main dashboard itself. So on the left-hand side, you can see this section over here. We call this the navigation toolbar. So navigation toolbar will bring you to different types of features and processes available in the software. So for example, under the company name, the company tab, you can see that it will list down all the companies that you're managing. This is where also you can start entering your company's data manually and go through the whole list to add in the company data. Similarly, here in your company sections, you also have this different tab called company registration. Under the company, this company registration option allows you to prepare your company registration and process your pre-incorporate and post-incorporation documents. So again, we do have like filter available in relation to that particular features. We also have your search registry tool as well. So search registry is essentially a very powerful tool that allows you to onboard company data information by purchasing Accra's business profile equivalent data onto the software. So instead of having to manually add in the company in your company selection over here, you can simply go to search registry and purchase the business profile. And right here, you will see some dashboard. This will essentially show to you what are the documents that you have prepared, lodged document types, and companies added as well, based on the type, the company structure of the company. So going back to this section, so that's for the company tab. Here we have also the trust, the second icon that looks like a briefcase. It's where you manage the trust. So trust is mostly for if you have Australian, New Zealand clients that you're managing trust. This is more on our Australia side of things. If you are managing those, then you can add it under your trust section. We're not going to cover this much as we don't have this quite common or frequently used in Singapore. So I'll select this third icon over here. Now, the third icon is what we call the contacts. So contacts is where you will store your global contacts, whether it's an individual contact, which is essentially a person, or if you have a corporate contact, whether it's a auditor or a bank or a corporate shareholder, you can add in that information over here. And next to it, the sub tab inside global, the contacts is your global address. You can add in your address. It's kind of like your global or your digital address book. So you have your global contacts and global address as well. The fourth icon on your main dash, your navigation toolbar is your returns. So returns is where you can process your annual return documents and AGM documents, manage them, the upcoming ones, and what to prepare. We're not going to cover this on level 1 today. We'll cover this on Tuesday for our more advanced lesson on your CAS 360 level 2. But for now, this is where you can find your annual returns and AGM documents. Now, the next icon in your navigation toolbar is this building that looks like a building. It's called multiple. So this is what we call multi-company changes. So in CAS 360, this tool is very useful and powerful when you want to apply a multi-company change across multiple companies. Things like, for example, if you want to resign let's say, a officer, this is particularly useful if you are, let's say, a corporate secretarial for multiple companies and you want to resign across several companies. You can do that using um, the bulk multi-company change. You can see right now there's no company, but what it does is that the system will detect whether this particular contact who has a position as a company secretary and you want to resign it in bulk of companies, the multi-company change allows you to do that. The next one is freeform documents. So freeform documents is where you can store all the documents that are not a part of your standard document pack, meaning if you can't, if it's a document that's not system default produced by the software, you can add it in. So things like your engagements, engagement agreements, or onboarding documents, these are not part of a standard compliance documents that CAS 360 produce. So you can add that in onto your freeform documents. Documents tab right over here is what we call the global documents. This will allow you to view all the documents that you prepare across all companies. Again, we do have some filters available right over here. This will allow you to manage all the documents you exported out or you send directly from CAS 360 to your client. Messages is all the third-party communication between third-party applications and also all the emails that's sent out from CAS 360 to your client will be stored under your messages as well. Next one will be your reports. So we do have different types of company reports available for you to generate in CAS 360. We're not going to cover this today. I'll cover this a little bit more on CAS 360 level 2 session. So I'll just give you a bit of preview of what you can generate, which includes your full company register set. Lastly, your settings. So settings allows you to manage the settings of your lodgement agent settings, your document templates. So this is where the document customization comes in. Your email templates that you can send across from the software to your clients. SMS templates. So SMS is a little bit more on with Australia side. We do have a feature that allows you to customize that. Right now, we don't have it. Singapore. Email settings, setting up your digital signing. If you have one of the 4 digital signing platforms that we have integration with, you can set it up from here. And lastly, your automated reminders, which is where you can set up your bulk AGM reminder. and also your annual return reminders. So that's the navigation toolbar. Now, on the top right corner over here is what we call the resource hub. Now, before I go through this whole features over here, I want to go back to what I mentioned about this section, My BGL, right? So when you first receive the My BGL, especially if you are the main administrator of for on behalf of your company, the first thing you will receive is your My BGL. So My BGL portal is your administrative portal with BGL. So anything that you have purchased with BGL will be managed in your My BGL portal. So you can find your invoices, for example, your e-invoices for the purchase of the software to the renewals or any search registry purchased. You can find it in the billing section of My BGL. Similarly, you can also manage the contacts that who is able to receive, have access to the My BGL portal, or who can be the billing, the alternative billing as well. If, for example, you are on the account owner, but you wished for someone else to receive the e-invoices as we do an automated send to the billing contacts, you can set it up over here. So product section, this is where it will show to you your license, subscription license information. So the number of companies that you have purchased, the purchase date, and also expiry. This section also allows you to have a control on upgrading your solutions. So for example, if you want to upgrade into additional 5 companies or more, you can simply create upgrade. Right now, I can't upgrade at the moment. You can simply create upgrade and automatically it will process for you the upgrade invoices. It will also show to you how it's calculated based on your upgrades. Now, payment details section is where you set up your payment details. So if you are using the search registry, for example, this essentially is very important as it will prompt you to set up your payment. So before before the software allows you to purchase the business profile, it needs to know that you've set up your payment method. It's quite similar as to when you are purchasing or purchasing an application on your phone or your Android phones, and when you have a free trial and when it's exceeded your free trial, it will prompt you to add in your payment details to continue the services. So very similar, you need to add in your payment details in order for you to use your paid services within the software. Training, most importantly, if you have some team members who've missed out, you have new member who joined the team, who you wish that to send for training, always recommend them to give them access to My BGL and go through the whole registration for training. So we've got 2 sections here. This one other training is essentially my training, my comprehensive training on level 1 and level 2. Whereas free events, we have an upcoming event happening in ISCA on the 15th of April at the Institute of Singapore Chartered Accounts building. Now, the big difference with this My Training and CAS 360 product update is that during the product update, they will cover more on topics that are features that have recently been released for the last 3 months. So because my lessons or my training is really focused on the foundational tools of the solution, And it's more on the foundational advance. CAS 360 product update is to essentially update you as a user what we have recently released onto the software. So you make the most out of the tool and you don't miss out the new improved features as well. So I highly recommend you to register. If you haven't registered now, please do. This is first come, first serve basis. We have very limited slots with ISCA on this one, so I highly recommend you to register for the CAS 360 product update. All right. Now, so that's what the MyBGL portal does. Also, lastly, before I forget, if you or your company, for example, you did a rebranding, you rename the company's name, or there's a change of address as well, this is where you can manage to update your organization's information. So by default, for us, we do not amend your company addresses or company details. We always recommend users and the clients to update it on their own, as this is to, avoid any discrepancies in your own company data. So just take note of that as well. All right. So within this MyBGL portal, what you'll also see is that every time you look at on the top right corner of portal, the MyBGL portal and CAS 360, there are these dots on the top right. So these dots actually represent what we call the app switcher. So these dots help you to switch between applications. So let's say I accidentally, close my solutions, and here I don't have to type in, that link. I can simply just go to my app switcher and select CAS 360. This will bring you back to my software. Now, one thing to highlight as well, a very quick tip if you are new to the software and still figuring out if you already have access to MyBGL portal and to CAS 360, is that if your account allows you to access to MyBGL, but you are not able to see this software, this icon over here, it means that your master admin, or what we call the account owner, didn't invite you to access to the software just yet. So you need to make sure to flag this to your account owners. So BGL for us, we are not able to assign anybody from that assign somebody on your behalf due to security reasons as well. So please, if you do not have any access yet, kindly flag this to your account owner to give you access to the software solution itself. Right. So any questions so far on MyBGL? Right. If there's no question, hopefully that's help you to distinguish between CAS 360 and MyBGL. This is very important as when you're getting started, you'll receive 2 emails from us to activate your MyBGL account first, and then followed by your CAS 360 account. Now, going back to the solutions. Now, I've gone through your navigation toolbar over here. Now, what I want to go through is this section over here in the top right. So the top right corner is what we call the resource hub. So you have different types of buttons where it allows you to help gain access to different type of resources, whether it's the community page. So community page is essentially you can start a conversation about different topics. Personally, not so much, activities going on in the community section. People are not engaging so much in the community page. In other jurisdiction, it's a little bit more active on that side, so that's not a problem. So yeah, that's the community page. And in the community page also, if you go to this webinar, you will see our uh, past training as well, called Lunch and Learn. So Lunch and Learn session, we were running this in the past years, and essentially it teaches you, it's a 45-minute YouTube video that teach you specifically on a specific feature. So example over here, we got shareholder transaction and registrable controller. That particular content will show to you only specifically for that feature. So it's not as heavy, content heavy as compared to, our my CAS 360 level 1, level 2 session. It's more granular and more specific for for a feature. If you're interested in that, again, you can locate this in your community page under webinar. Otherwise, I'll share this page over here into your webinar chat so everybody can have access as well. If you have your free time, you can explore these as well. So this Accra import, for example, we do have that. This one is not so updated. We're going to be updating this when things are a lot more, more accurate with Accra on this part. We'll be also updating this as well. Now, going back to my CAS 360, so that is your community page. Now, next to is our feedback. So when you have a feature that you wish to request, for example, or if you had some feedback about your the UI or your experience with the software itself, you can simply put it on the feedback button. This will be directly flagged to different, not just for one team, it will be flagged to across different teams working on CAS 360, whether it's your the account management team, to the product team, to even our internal systems teams, to ecosystems, they will see your your feedback. So if if there are some features that you wish that to highlight or to flag, do put it in the feedback form. So maybe some of you will be wondering whether it really sends. We do actually see it as well. So we get thousands and thousands of feedback every day from our users, and it's very important to share your feedback so that we can actually help us to understand a little bit more, to improve our solution and improve it in a way that will serve each of the markets as well. So that's for the feedback button. And now on the next icon over here, this is what we call the notification icon. But before that, before I touch on this one, so I want to go to the next one first, this one over here. So you have a question mark called help. Now, this one, do not be afraid to click on this icon. I know quite a number of users, they like to skip that, this help. This one is very, very useful as it will bring you to our online resources, causing up different help guide. Now, when you you can click on the get started. Basically, it will cover across all jurisdictions, but we've also categorized it based on different markets that we are active across, and we also have this one new features. Now, before I click on the Singapore, I just want to talk about this one as well. So if you have been using the solution for quite some time, you will notice that you get some splash page or notification from CAS 360 that there has been a software update that released that. Now, every alternate weeks, every 2 weeks, we will run a software update essentially on concurrent. So what usually does is that whenever we run a software update, we will post it into the new notes. For example, on 12th of March, it will show to you what we have released out. So an example, 12th March, we've actually released out smart emails. This is a brand new feature added into the software, which allows you to reiterate your email content, right? So that's for that solutions. Currently, right now, this is what we have released for this jurisdiction. And if you've missed out some other months, for example, what we have done across jurisdiction, you can see in February, we have already improved the imports of contact address as now imported as contact residential address as well. So with importing of data from Accra, there's a different ways that they imported. Because by default, the system needs to read a residential address. So therefore, it save it as a contact's residential address as well. So not just a contact address, but also a residential by default. So features like that, you can find it under your product updates. Again, this will be under your help guide and new feature notes. So do go through this as well so that you don't miss out what were the latest features that was rolled out. Now, going back to CAS 360, and again to your help icon, I'm going to select the Singapore help. And here, this will bring you to our support at CAS 360 page. So I'm going to also share this one onto the webinar chat. If you're much more comfortable bookmarking this link, you can just simply bookmark this as well. So in Singapore help guides, it will bring you to very vast resources that covers the CAS 360 software itself. So if, for example, you're getting started on the software solution, you've got the list of switching from CAS 360. So these ones are more related to those migrating your data from the old CAS solutions. We no longer offer this feature. Before, we do have that as well. And then you're getting started. If you've just purchased a product, what are the things that you can explore from learning channels, forms that are available in CAS 360, different types of reports, how to log in. And one thing particularly that I want to highlight, is not in your manual, is this section over here, your MFA. So again, when you go through the whole process of setting up the CAS 360, it will prompt you to set up your multi-factor authentication. So multi-factor the authentication is something that we practice when you do the login onto the software solution. This is an extra security layer to ensure that the right person assigned or right contact is assigned to the right companies, and they're logging in with the right credentials as well. Now I'm also going to share this link into the webinar chat as well. And in here, it will give you an option on what to set up your MF. So you can set up either by SMS or authentication. We always highly recommend our users to use authentication app instead of SMS text message. Due to reason is that a lot of scam incidences, as you know, that there's so many scam incidences going around. So if they do manage to get your phone number, for example, it's a high risk way of getting some cybersecurity attacks as well. We also got different types of like Q&A, frequently asked question when you're setting up the MFA as well. Things like your verification code is not working. If it's not working, there are some answers to that. Or if you have left your mobile device, how can you set up your authentication? Or things like, for example, if you want to change from SMS to authentication app, you can simply change that, disable from SMS to a different one as well. So you can see you can set up both, but you can only set up or activate one active. So this is a question on the phone. If you have a new phone, the authenticator code has been on default. You need to disable and authenticate with a new number. So something I will highlight in this, so I'm going back, just going to jump back again to your authentication. All right, so that particular setting up or disabling or switching between your SMS and authentication app can be found under, again, your app switcher and under users. So in your user account, when you scroll the way down, you can see the MFA setup. You can either, if you set up one over here, you can only have one way of doing the multi-factor authentication. So if you do not want this to be used, you can simply click on disable. So that's setting up your MFA. It's very important layer of when you get started with the solution as well. Now, again, going back to my list, we have a lot of useful features as well, whether it's something that has to do with the AML compliance alert, CDD. This is a very common one. Essentially, the resource hub will give you a topic of, a particular topic, and it will go through what this particular topic is about and the feature itself. So things like our CDD form. So CDD form is actually when you go into a company, it can be found into this whole workflow. So sometimes you'll be a bit confused as a new user. How do you go about with this? Our resource hub will guide you on the how-tos using this feature. All right, so that's for the Singapore Help Guide. So we have a lot of useful resources, not just for how-tos, knowledge-based, different type of documents that we can process. And over here, different types of reports, company management. This is essentially when you're doing different types of company change. How do you process that in the software? So it's this is a very vast amount of how-tos into the solution. And if you had the chance to explore customization before, we'll cover this a little bit more on level 2 on Thursday. So these are essentially merge field codes that you can insert within your text paragraph in your Word documents. All right. So going back to my CAS 360, that's your Singapore Help Guide. Now, the next thing that I want to cover is your live chat. So our live chat, we have a CAS AI assistant that will recommend you article based on the topic that you have. So for example, how do I prepare my AGM documents? So what CASI does is that it will read through all the article resources and give you the suggestions, so how to process it, and also redirect you to different types of more granular articles. Like, for example, because it's related to annual returns, it will bring you to that page as well. Now, if you have a much more complex query to ask, you can simply, and it's not able to give you the much appropriate answers, you can always say no or connect to human as well. So let's say no, you can talk to human. That will connect to our live support chat personnel to assist you with your query. So when you're having some issues, for example, on the spot, you can speak to the live chat, attach your screenshot as well, and they will create a ticket for you assigned to your account. Now that's how we log a live chat to get in touch. Another option is this telephone icon over here. We call this our support call. And what you can simply do is that if you're, for example, you wanted to create a ticket log and flag your issue to the support team, support agent, support team, and product team, what you can do is simply click on Lucky Dip, for example, or type in, let's say, AGM. Search and click search. And first thing, the system will recommend you an article. And when you scroll the way down, you can see right over here called Log a Support Call. So click on Log a Support Call. This will automatically pull out your email address. Select your statement. Let's say it's related to a company incorporations, or let's say your reports, for example. And there's a questionnaire over here that will prompt you, would you like to provide support with access to your account? Meaning you're giving consent to our support team and to access to your account. So by default, we cannot be logging into your account. We don't have admin rights to that. We're not able to see that, what you're doing into the solution. We don't know what companies that you have. So by giving them consent to access to your account to further investigate your error and do some test, you simply click yes. And here you can type in your query. So for example, I'm having some issue with printing AGM document, for example. And sometimes when you are preparing documents, you'll get a error message. It's very important to screenshot that and also record down the reference number. For example, type in your reference number from that error. And for any supporting documents or supporting screenshot, you can upload in this section. So a very important or good practice when you are logging a support is to give our support team some context of the error that you're facing, the scenario, and as many information as they can, so they have an idea what was going on before they can even further investigate. So maybe it's something that has to do the way you set up the data, for example, or it's really back-end issue that or bug that they need to fix. So always make sure to provide as many information and supporting screenshots and documents as you can so that they can further investigate. Now, once you've done that, you can simply click send and it will create a support ticket for you. So if I were to say send, what it does is that this is your ticket number. Okay. Now, once you have the ticket number, you will receive a Zendesk ticket. Usually you will have you will receive this email over here. So this one, I can see it from my end, an example. So this is what our team will see. But you also received a request, like the ticket number. And just remember the ticket number is coming from support as CAS360 Zendesk.com. So Zendesk is our support solution that we used to manage our support tickets. So that's that for logging a support ticket through our support icon in your resource hub. All right. Any questions so far on this topic about logging support tickets? All right. If there's no questions, I will go back to the resource hub and just touch on to this bell icon. Now, before I touch on to this, I just want to quickly also share to you one very useful feature as well. So on the left-hand side, you can see we have this icon over here where you can search. So this is what we call global search. So it's like your global search engine that allows you to search whether for a company, a trust, and contact as well. So let's say if I'm looking for a company, CAS360, Singapore, it will show to me whether it's a company or contact. Now, if it's labeled as a company, it means it's stored at this is your client, essentially. This is your client, you're managing their company data, company registration, they all have the feature, all their information. Now, similarly, CAS360, because we do have here, it looks exactly the same, but instead of a company, it's actually stored in your contacts page. So it's a corporate contact. So which is totally different from from the one that's results that it showed earlier on. So you can use the search, global search as well if you want to look for a particular person. So for example, Andy Tam, I could see I have two individual Andy Tam over here. This is the first one. This is the feature, his information under his contact. If I go to Andy Tam, I have another one totally different as well. So this is a great for you to navigate, to search for a particular company, and also particular contacts as well. Now, going back to this section, we're gonna switch back to the right-hand side of your tool, your resource hub. This bell icon over here, you will notice it in your CAS360 as you use it along the way. You'll receive a lot of notification as well, particularly if you are using the digital signing or importing a bulk extracts from Accra onto the software. You will receive a notification icon. And if you have already read the message, you can simply mark as read all. This will remove the list. Now, what I wanted to let you know also that this alerts notification is linked up to your messages, which is this, you can see. So anything that's coming through the software as a notification, whether it's all the digital platforms linked to the software, your digital signing, or whether you're imported the data from Accra, will be saved under inbox. And outbox, on the other hand, is more on anything that is sent outside from CAS360 to the client, which is your email features. Now, going back to this bell icon, so what I want to pay attention to is this section over here called settings. Now, the settings allow you to set what we call email subscription to get notification for upcoming alerts. So by default, it will be as a switched off. And if you want to receive notification email, You can receive switch on the toggle button and also select what you want to receive, whether it's like any failed emails, lodgements, annual returns due, financial year end date approaching, and AGM, right? So how it will look like into your email is it will look something like this. You've got a list of notifications where who are the ones that annual return due, overdue, AGM company alerts, and it will prompt you to log into the software to attend to those alerts. So we've organized it in this ways because imagine if you are getting individual alerts for individual items, you will receive more than one alert. So we do not want to do that for our users. So when you go to your notification settings, you also have the ability to adjust when you want to receive. So if you want to receive it daily, you can receive um, every day if you wish to at a specific time. Or if you want it to be just weekly, you can select which time of the week that you like to receive a weekly notifications, at which time of the day. This one follows the local timing and whole firm. So whole firm, you could add in whether it's only favorite labels. What it means, favorite labels are the ones that you put as a star and it has a tag on it or whole firm. So essentially everybody in the company will receive this notification. All right. So once you've done that, click save. So every Tuesday at 10 a.m., I will receive a email subscription notification. So this is a very useful tool to not just notify going into the software. If you're not regularly going in, at least the system will notify you what are the upcoming key alerts that you based on what you have switched on. All right, so that is for email subscriptions. Any questions so far for this navigation toolbar? All right. Now, so now that I've set up, I've gone through this whole features on your navigation toolbar and resource hub. Now, what I wanted to go through in your level 1 is also what we call setting up your registered filing agents. Now, before I continue on, as I know I'm quite lengthy in my explanations, again, a reminder, you do have a manual that you can use along the way as I explain some of the topics. If you're much more comfortable going through the manual, you can simply navigate and click on to the topics that I'm going through. So now I'm for the topic on your setting up registered filing agents. This can be found on your page 26 of your manual. Okay, so going back, I'm just going to close one of the accounts over here. Now, when you're also getting started with the software, a very good practice is setting up your lodgement, your registered filing agent, or for Singapore specifically, it's your practice or your CorpSecs, your RFA, or rather the corpus of the company. Now, to set that up, simply click on the settings and select lodgement agent. Now, under the lodgement agent, you can see I have different types of lodgement agent, and you can select your jurisdiction, type in your corpus name. And if you are new, for example, my company name is something else. I'll just put in let's say corp service, it's not over there, you can simply add in on the spot. Now, in CAS 360, when you are adding a contact, whether it's a person's contact or lodgement agent's contact information, and if it's not on the record, you can add it on the spot. So this is an example of that. You can add in your company's corpus information directly, and you can simply click for here, because it's not an individual person, it's a company. You will need to select this option, and this will change the field that you need to fill up. So for this case, I need to add in the incorporation, the dates, the company number, and also my registered filing agent. So Viv Changi, for example. Now, what I also notice is that if, let's say, similar to the creating of new contacts, if you have a contact or an address that's not in your system yet, again, similar process, you can add it on the spot. And just click new. And you can see that it will prompt you, is this a Chinese address? No. If not, just click Singapore, and it will prompts you, it will update the fields that needs. It follows the Singapore address style of address. So you can add it over here. And what you also notice is that you can see in the building, when you're setting up a new address, for example, it's powered by Google. So let's say I type in Paragon, right? And because it follows a Google address, when you click on that, it automatically only pulls out the block number and the street name, but not the building name itself. So what you can do is you can type in the building name, but instead of selecting, just simply put in your mouse and click. This will become a free text, right? And then if you had, like, let's say 0302, for example, and then you can save the address. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole setup. I think I have quite a number of corpus. So I just want to go through that. Once you've set up, it will allow you to select your corpus. And again, you will need to add in your agent address. So it's essentially the registered office address of your corporate services, your company, right? So once you've done that, you can simply click Save Only. This one you can just skip that. This is we have actually currently disabled this part due to Accra's decision to disable their old API before. And hopefully we can reinstate this back again once they announce reinstatement of their API. Now, for now, you can always click Save and Only. And if you need to edit the information, for example, you made a mistake on putting in your corpus, you can simply always click on to locate this dot icon and click Edit. Right? So once you navigate into the software, take note of these three dots over here. You will see this quite often as you use the solution. This icon represents options that either allows you to edit the details of the contact, registered address, companies, and so on, or other actions as well. So now that you have your corpus, so when you start adding a new company, for example, manually, you can add the corpus into the registered filing agent section. So this is an example of that. I've this company, I set it up manually, and under the filing agent details, it will show to me the list of filing agents stored in my lodgement agent settings. So here I've assigned. So generally, for if you're using your corpus, you only have one corpus over here. Now, something also to take note with the corpus registered filing agent. Just gonna go to this section back again. Is that as you know, your SingPass, depending who is the user among your team member who has whose ThinkPass is the corpus. Before you set it up, you had to make sure that your corpus has full access to the API mall. So need to advise this to your corpus administrator. So again, just click on this will bring you to the checklist or digital service. It will give you a directions on what to access. So if your SingPass is linked to your company's corpus, just make sure to add Accra as well in the digital services. So that's for setting up your lodgement and agent settings. So this one of the things reason why I highlight this quite particularly is because when you assign a filing agent onto a company, it will also reflect the disclosure of the annual return data for your registrable controllers location of the registers. So I'm going to go through that in a while, but this is very important so that when you set up the location of the register for registrable controller and nominee directors, the system will first see if the address of the filing agent matches the one that is recorded for the location of the register, and automatically, if they see that it's a similar address, it will create a different annual return data disclosure. It will say that the location of the register is kept at the registered filing agent's office at registered address, something like that. Yeah, so this step is quite essential, important, so you can get a much more accurate declaration uh, information in your annual return preparation. So that's for setting up registered file agents. So then another next step that you also want to do, especially when you first purchase the product, is to invite other users. Now, if you are a account owner, so again, a refresher, an account owner is the main master admin to the software and to the MyBGO portal. And you have the rights to assign who gets to access the software and MyBGO. So it will be your responsibility to do that. Now, to invite other users, just a quick reminder again, this particular topic, you can find it on the next page, which is on the page 30 of the manual, if for those of you looking the manual. Now, inviting the users, you can simply go to, again, we're going to go back on the top right corner of the screen under your apps feature. And this time round, we will select users. So here in the users, it will give you the profile, your MFA settings as well. Now, as an account owner, the master admin, you will see more features on the left-hand side. So you have much more control on how to manage your users, the token management, role settings, and so on. Now, first, what we do, we want to invite other users. To invite them, simply go to the admin section and select invitations. here, it will show to me who are the people that's invited onto my CAS 360. You can see right now, these are the list of users that has access to my to Gen Training account for BGL, my BGL portal and CAS 360. Who you've invited, who has joined, who has expired their invitation, and who has canceled, for example. Now, on the top right corner, you can see there's a button called Invite Users. This is where you will set up to invite other users from your team. So if I have another user, so J. Babilona, for example, this one won't really work. And I type in, so probably going to use one of my colleagues' invitation. So J. Wong at, I hope this one works. So let's say Wong. And most important thing over here is don't forget to invite them to both. All right. So the few times that there are people or some account owners they forgot to invite you to access to my BGL, which will not allow you to register for my training. So very important. Always tell your account owners to invite you to your my BGL, so you will also have access to register for upcoming training events. Now, on this section here, you can assign the type of role settings for by BGL and CAS 360. So let's say you got the admin manager, so he has access to admin manager, billing only, or normal users. Now, there are default settings for role settings. Again, if you go to, again, we're going to go to your Singapore help. This one, I wanted you to familiarize having to navigate Singapore help and type in role settings or user roles. So user roles, we had some couple of default ones already available, and it will show to you which role setting have certain access. So for example, in the accountant right over here, if you select an accountant, I think accountants only or something, it will limit you to access or to modify or edit company data, for example, but it allows you, and you cannot prepare any company documents, whereas it will allow you to edit dividends, dividend documents, distribution, and so on. So we had different types of settings for each role as well. Here, and then also similarly for CAS 360, so you'll need to make sure to invite your team members to have access to the account. Again, we have different available settings. Now, if as an account owner, you also have ability or the flexibility to create your role settings or role types for here, which I'm going to go through in a while. And you can invite as many users as you want. And once you've done that, you can just click invite other users. And your team member will receive a my BGL, both my BGL and welcome to my BGL and welcome to CAS 360 invite. All right. So that's that. Now, let's say on a scenario where you accidentally send it to a wrong email address or person, you can simply click on either cancel. All right. And cases like, for example, we had, you know, someone who is, let's say, in you cancel it, it will actually cancel off your access or your invitation. And Not sure whether it's why it's over here, invited wrong over there. Looks good. All right. If, for example, that user, your client, your team member, for example, they forgot to set up the account, right? Remember this welcome to email. Oops, I think here. This one, so welcome to my visual. If they didn't activate this within 5 days, you will need to again resend it to that user, to that team member. So you can simply click on resend. All right. So we won't be able, for us, I'm not able to do it for you because again, for security reasons, you as an account owner, you have the rights and the the power or the rights who to invite onto your company's account of MyBijo and Cash 360. So that's how we invite other users. Now, similarly, in the same page on your admin, you have what we call the role settings. So role settings allows you to manage the settings for each role. So an example over here, I've got an accountant for an application for Cash 360 software with an accountant role. These are the settings that I have enabled. So this includes any allowing them to have to prepare XBRL using the XBRL tool. I can They can modify things like that. If I don't want them to modify an example, I can switch on off this access. So which means that and that accountant is not able to modify or prepare documents or edit email templates or do company registration. It will be limited to this aspect. Now, if this particular accountant, you want them to have also similar settings, you can just switch on the toggle button. So you can control what you can do. So you can see that I have quite a number of roles as well. It's because these roles, I have created them. So how do you create your own role? It's simply clicking at new role settings, type in role, new roles, or let's say it's Jen's role, for example. And again, as a account owner, I can adjust what I want Jen to have access to. If I don't want them to import data from governing body, I can simply switch off that toggle button. Or I don't want this person to have access to the compliance features. I don't want this person to have XBRL financial state, XBRL preparations. Then you can switch off the toggle button. And once you've done that, you click save. So what happens is that in your role settings, you can see that I have Jen's role added into my list of type of roles, role types. So this is not just limited within CAS 360, but you can also adjust the role type for My BGR portal. So things like if you don't want to assign the new staff member to have a main account or main admin, you can simply switch on, let's say, billing only, and it will only switch on the necessary toggle button. So you can see if like, let's say in a scenario where your finance team or finance manager, you want them to access only to the invoice, you can have this one as well. And if you have other users, you don't want them to be able to see to cancel product or view the debit or debit cards as well. You can have account only, or let's say, and you can switch off that. For example. So it really depends on how you want to set up the role type. All right, so that's for managing, creating your role settings and role type in CAS 360. Now, something also that I will highlight, it's not in yours, currently your system right now, but again, going back to this admin is what we call user manager. So as an account owner, if you are an account owner, this is a very good practice as well to do, especially if you have multiple team members accessing to your organization's Cash 360 and MyBGL accounts. So if you have a team, let's say you have a team member who have left the company, and you want to make sure for security reasons that they no longer have access to your organization's account, you can simply go to user manager. And what you can see over here, you'll see that the MFA is switched on for that user. If I want to switch that off, let's say I don't want this person to have access anymore, you can simply click expand and remove the user. Okay, this is to remove them for accessing. What you can see here, you also notice this is a good example. This user doesn't have access to my BGL. It only has access as an admin to the software itself. Okay, so you can also further expand, and if you want this particular user to have much more limited access, then you can change this role type as well. So all of that, it will have these feature. So it's a good practice to remove if you have team members who have already left your team, to remove them as a user, or if you need some additional amendments into their role types, you can do it here in user manager as well. All right. So that's about how we getting started with the solution. It's a very mouthful for level one, I would say, but very, very essential, important, because this will essentially help you to get started and get moving using the software. Now, the next thing that I want to go through is your lesson number 2. So we're now ready to set up your companies. So lesson number 2, again, you can find it into your bookmark section over here. We're gonna cover more on the learning companies. So in this lesson, we'll learn how to incorporate a Singapore companies, including preparing your pre-incorporation and post-incorporation documents. And we're also gonna learn different ways to onboard your clients. So one of which is your company registration, and also importing company data from Accra using your search registry. All right, so closing that. Before I go on with this lesson number 2, any questions so far for the topics for lesson 1? All right, if there's no, I'm gonna go ahead with my lesson number 2. All right. So going back to the main dashboard, so in the main dashboard, as you know that this is where you can see the list of companies you're managing. Now, there are different ways to onboard your company depending on the scenario. So scenario number 1 is simply adding the company's data automatically manually. So here under your company selections, select add company and select add a company. Here it will prompt you to select the jurisdiction. So in CAS 360, we have multiple jurisdiction. These are the few, the main ones where we have electronic electronic integrations with the Digital Government Agency. For Australia, it will be ASIC. England will be Company House. Currently, Hong Kong, we don't have it at the moment. We also have with New Zealand, and for Singapore, it's ACRA. And if you are managing a offshore companies like your BVI, Cayman Islands, you can also use CAS 360 to set up the database for BVI and offshore companies. So you can see that the fields will automatically change to accommodate a BVI companies or a offshore companies. So for this exercise, I'm just going to just create this company right over here. And you have this option called search and import from ACA. So when you switch on the toggle button, it will bring you to your search registry. Again, it will prompt you to select that this feature is a paid service. So the software will not charge you just like that. It usually prompts you that it's a paid service. And once it's set up and you confirm and continue, that's when they only charge. Now, so this process, it's very good when you know that you're going through a company takeover from one CorpSec service provider to yours. So, which means that you have taking it over for another service provider, this particular client, and you just want to immediately import their data information. So this is a great way of onboarding a new company who already have existing record with ACA. So that's that. When you otherwise, if you add in a company like that, let's say new company, private limited, add in the company numbers. Let's say the incorporation date is a little bit different, maybe 0903, or maybe it's a different or 19, for example. And you can just add in the financial year end date. Let's say it's 31st. '03. You can add that. And again, select your filing agent. You can also select assigned a company label. So I'm going to go through this in a while. So I'll skip that and just click save. So what it does is that you can see that that company now appears in your company selection, and you can simply click on the company. This will bring you to the company's profile. So you can see new company, private limited, UAN, the registered filing agents. It will also prompt you whether you want to add your company contact. So this is essentially useful if, let's say, you have a personal assistant or assistant to this company who will be the one getting emails, for example. You don't want to disturb the directors, you can simply add in the company's contact. Here you can add in your financial year and date. So this is very important as well. This is to help you keep track of your key dates and also trigger your alerts. So if the data is not accurate in your company dates, it will not give you a very accurate alerts for your upcoming key dates, like whether it's financial year end date, annual returns, or the next AGM. And we do have, when you're also adding in, let's say, a financial year and date, let's say this is a different date, I can use a calculator. It will recalculate for me, for example. So I put in a different date, so I'll just put it over here. So I'm just going to keep 31st, 03, 2026. So we'll calculate accordingly to 7 months and all. And then you can just continue as well if this company that you took up it's pending strike off, you can simply switch on that toggle button, and you can see that it will also prompt the system to prepare forms for a particular change. Here I need applicants and so on. So this company, we're not going to do a strike off. We don't have any details. You can click save and also go through the whole entire fields, whether it's your addresses, your officers, shareholders, and so on. Now, that's the manual way of adding a company. Now, the other way of adding a company is typically through your company registration. So when you have a new client who engage your service from the very beginning, including company registration, CAS 360 is able to process both your company registration process and produce your pre-incorp and post-incorporation documents. So here on the left-hand side of my company registration, you'll be able to see which are the companies that you have processed company registration using CAS 360, and also which one are the pending ones, which means they haven't actually been confirmed as a registered company in Singapore's and Accra, Singapore records. If I were to, and what you'll also notice on this one is that if they haven't been registered as a company, let's say company, they will not be in the list, right? Reason being is because that as long as the company is already registered, right? The status is registered, they will automatically be moved to this company selection list. Anything that is listed in your company selection are active companies, which will therefore take up your license slot. So just take note of that. Anything that's still in pre-incorporation stage will not take up the license slot of your subscription. So going back to the company registration, so these 8 companies that's still pending, I'm still in a registration process. You can see that it doesn't take up my license slot. Now, to go through the whole process of company registration, you can click on the button Company Registration and select the jurisdiction. So for this exercise, we'll select Singapore and click Singapore. Here, I'll go through the whole list, the whole process of a company registration. So today, I'm just going to select 24th March training company. So I can select the type of exempt, whether it's private exempted. I don't have, so you can see I will get some warning if it's not, if I don't have any information. So I'll put in the financial year end date. Let's say I'll just put in 31st. So you can add in your activity as well. For example, marketing, public relations, and market branding services. And you can add in your additional description. And you also have ability to add in your secondary. So let's say consulting. Management consulting service, for example, I've got that. You can add in additional notes here. And you can either save and close. So when you save and close, it will essentially save that record over here. Now, all right. So to go back on that, again, go to your option over in the section, click on option, click edit, and this will bring you back to the whole workflow. So you see that in the whole workflow, I have red items that I haven't filled up, so I need to complete the whole process. I add in my registered address. I'll just simply put in Changi as well and go to officers. Here I can start assigning my officers. So I'm going to select, let's say, Veronica Tant and as officer. And these ones, how did I go about getting this information? It's because Veronica Tan is already stored in my global contacts. So I don't have to retype it again. Again, the similar process earlier, if you recall, if it's a new person, let's say Winnie, and you can't find this contact, you will have to set up that contact. So with setting up the new contact, you have the ability to also adjust the surname, last name, email address. Let's say I'll just put in my email address for the sake of this exercise. You can have, if you have the mobile number, country of birth. If you're using a passport, for example, it's a Malaysian, you can, let's say, Kuala Lumpur. Example, you can add in the Malaysian ID, whether it's an ID or passport. So if, for example, this person is Malaysian, but you also have a Singapore NRIC, a permanent residency, you can add in that information. And although if you want, you can also add in the passport. So I'll just put in, let's say, you know, Serengeti, Pasir Ris, for example, like that. And so I'll just put in a random birth date. So you can see I've have over here my officer, and it will also prompt you to set up not just the residential address, if the contact address is similar to the resident address, you can add it as it is. Otherwise, if it's a different contact address, let's say it's Changi, you will have to still set up your contact address. So the system doesn't automatically assume that the contact address is same as residential. So just take note of that. You still need additional step to add in the contact address as a separate address field for that contact. So I've got over there, and I can just appoint Winnie as a director and click save. And I can add in multiple officers as well. So here I'll just put in George Dunn, another director, and I'll have Veronica as maybe the secretary. And maybe add myself as well as a officer. So you can also see that it's not just limited, the officers are not limited to just director, secretary as well. We do have your CEO, managing director. And if you have a nominating director, for example, right over here, it will prompt you to add in the nominator. Let's say it's myself. Oh, it's different. So maybe I'll add in someone else. Again, we'll have to fill up all this information. All right, and click save. So once you've signed up again, this is for your officer's page, and then you will click next to bring you to the next field. So here I'm just gonna add in a very simple one here. Now I'll add in myself as just one of the shareholders as an individual. And you also have a questionnaire here called if it's whether it's a beneficiary owner. If it's a beneficiary owner, you can switch on the toggle and this will prompt you to assign a beneficiary owner. So if not, you can leave it as it is, and I will just set up a very basic or a share class, ordinary shares. By default, it's Singapore and number of shares. So automatically it follows share certificate number one. And this section over here, you can add in this amount shared, issued share capital. If not, very important is that you can see right here, if you click save, it will not allow you to go to the next stage. So what you'll need to do is you need to put in 0. You need a numeric number in this field to allow you to go to the next field. So similarly, if I need to add in my corporate shareholder, for example, and this corporate shareholder has an issued capital, click save, you can add that. And you can also add in your nominee shareholder. And add in the information there. So auditors, so you can either add in an auditor if this company is to have a audited financial statement. So I would assume that they want for this year. So I'll skip that. And then you have your constitution. So depending on what you have set up in your details, because it's a private company, non-exempt limited by share, it will also assign or recommend you your model constitution based on company limited by share. So this is a system default constitution. Now, if you have a different type of constitution, you have a custom one specifically from your services, you can simply attach your documents right here. I would say let's just add this one as a sample. And here you can add in a registrable controller. So this is one of the features that we've added as well. We're also trying to improve more on this to add in another nominee. I think nominee shareholder is already been set up. And again, you can add in a registrable controller. I'm just adding in for this company. And at the finishing line, you will see a brief summary of what you have input for this company. All right. So now that you have go through the whole process, you can now save and prepare the documents. So here in the document production page, so whenever you're doing or processing a company change, whether it's a incorporation, post-incorporation, or adding in, doing a company name change, the system will automatically bring you to what we call document production. So this will prompt the software to process the necessary document pack in relation to that corporate action, to that company action. So for this case on the left-hand side, you can see this, we're processing a company incorporation for 24th March training. So depending on, based on the data that I have feed into the system and input, it automatically pulls out the documents I need to prepare, which includes my application of shares, your notice of controller. This is, if you recall, I've uploaded my own like a dummy constitution. You've got my consent for the 45 as we've appointed Veronica Tan as the secretary. Similarly, Form 445, we had multiple directors that was assigned, which is Rini and George, and also myself. So the beauty of the system is that because of the data that you have input during the company registration process, the system will fill up the necessary details. So you no longer have to manually type in this information when you processed the documents for any company change, whether it's a company registration, appointments or appointment or resignation of a officers or any share transactions. So automatically the system will pull out the data and populate it into your respective documents and forms. Similarly, we've got your nominee director's notice, consent to act. You've got your company registration summaries. This is to give you a summary report of what you have set up. And right over here, you'll see we have different types of certifications. So this certificate declarations, these are ACRA forms. So depending on your practice, if you're still using ACRA forms, you can switch on the toggle button, right? Otherwise, a lot of services these days, they don't use it anymore. So you can just, we keep it as switched off. Now, all these documents are ready, so I'm now ready to either download or send directly to my client. So for this exercise, we're going to download the document first. So here I will have a copy of my full set of document pack. We've got all my Form 45. I've got my Form 45B, my consent to act as director. This one, this is customizable. We're going to cover this in level, in CAS 360 level 2 session on Thursday. So this one has more documents, applications of shares. So again, it's really very dependent on the data that you have set up during your company registration process. So, and let's assume this is your constitution, it will be included in your document pack. So whenever you're uploading, let's say we go back in there again, when you're uploading an external document, it will process, it will add into your document pack. So that's how we process a pre-incorporation. So let's assume that this company, this client over here, they have confirmed, they've signed agreement forming you, and they want to continue engaging you as their service provider. So remember, this is a awaiting registration. Therefore, if I were to look for it in March, it's not in my list. If I go to my company selection, you can see there is a search engine here. You can type in 24 March. It's not in the list, so it hasn't taken up your license slot yet. So going back to the company registrations, I'm gonna select not registered yet. We want to work on to the same company. And what I want to do is I want to process the post-incorporation documents. So in the whole process in CAS 360, it follows a compliance process rather than a practice. So in practice, a lot of times you prepare the post both documents together, but fundamentally the software has to follow the fundamental workflow in Accra, much more on the compliance rather than in practice. So therefore, it needs to add in the UN number to confirm as indeed it's a registered company. So here, I'm going to add in a company. Now, if, for example, let's say you want to process the company's post incorporation, even if it hasn't been registered, what you can do is, you can add in a dummy UN first, for example, right? And then I'll do in incorporation date and click proceed. So what you notice is that you're gonna end up with that UN. Again, this one you can customize that part. That's fine. But essentially, it's very important. It really follows the standard compliance procedure rather than a practice procedure. So here I've got my first director's minutes resolution. Again, this is a very customizable document, but for now we're just going to use the system default. Your register of registrable controllers, notice of EGM, share certificates, and all your registers, which includes your nominee directors as well. Now, if you have a addition, again, similarly process earlier on, if you have any, let's say, engagement letter or so on that you need to add in, or forms, you can just simply add in the document under your upload button. So here, I'll just going to simply, again, I'll do the same process in this documentation. So before that, also one thing that I want to highlight in your document production is that you can preview the document before to download by simply clicking onto the text in blue. This will allow you to preview the documents prior to exporting the document or sending it to the client. Another thing is that, again, in every time you see a dot next to an item line or a document, it means this will allow you to control the settings of that particular item. Now, for this case, this is related to a document, therefore it's a document options. So you can have whether it's a resolution type, a format. You can also switch off whether to leave the document date as blank, whether you want to display the ID and passport, the format, and so on. And once I've saved that settings, it will have a different settings as well. It will show me the UN number or the ID number, passport ID number, for example. Yeah, so whenever you're preparing in document productions, always explore this section for each document. This will allow you to see what you can control for each document. So now that I'm happy with that, I can simply, again, download the documents. I've got no meeting address, so maybe I'll just put in Changi. So all the members, it will prompt me. So the system will prompt you if for members minutes, if there's no address, it will prompt you to key in those information. Right. So you can see this is the full set. Again, the full set of the post-incorporation documents that we just prepared. Now, so what you'll notice in the whole process is there's one missing document in that. So just gonna close that. So there's one missing document, and in that missing document on my 21st, I'm going to look for that company again. You'll notice that in this whole set of post incorporations is missing of opening of bank accounts. So if you process a opening of bank account for this company, first thing you want to do is to first export out the document, the post incorporation document, and set it as registered. You can do that. Another way of setting a company as registered as well is to simply, I'm just gonna go there again. Okay, so one way to set a company as registered is also, instead of preparing the post incorporation full, you can just mark it off as mark company as registered. So again, it's a similar process. You'll mark as a registered company, it will also be added into your list. Now, again, going back to the topic, it's missing of opening of a bank account. So how do you go about with generating the resolution of opening bank accounts? So we're going to select a company, and under your company selection, we will locate that new company that we've just set up. So that was a 24 March company. So you can see now it's part of the record. Even when I do my global search, it's also in my global search. When I click on that, that will bring me to the profile. So all this that we have just set up earlier on throughout our company registration process will be recorded. Now, going to your relationships. So in the next, to set up your bank account information, you will have to select this option called relationship. So add in your relationship. This allows you to add in your auditors, data protection officers, local agents, and so on. So for this exercise, we're going to add in your bank account. I'm just going to select in current one, let's say 24th March. We'll add in a basic. You can add in your information. You can also choose not to add in the zip code as well, but most importantly, we need the account number. You can add in your signing person as well. If you want Winnie Tan as or Jenica Song as the main statement for the opening bank account, you can do that as well. So now that I've saved this record, I will go back to my company tab and again, go back to my company registrations. So here in the company registration, I will locate 24th March company. And again, click on my post incorporation documents so that to prepare my bank account opening minutes or resolution. So that will be then included in your your post incorporation document pack. So it's very important when you're processing company registration or post incorporation and you needed to set up also include a bank account opening or resolution. You want to make sure that you go into the profile of the company, select the company and select relationship, click on add relationship and select bank account. Right, so that's how we add in manually or add in company through a company registration process. Now, the next one that we want to go through is your importing your company. So another way to onboard a company is using the search registry. Search registry allows you to add in the person's business profile through CAS 360. So instead of going to the website of Accra and purchasing a PDF format of then, you can purchase the data from Accra directly. So how to go about this? Right now I'm gonna give you an example. I've got this list of companies over here. This is some of the lists that we have imported from Accra previously. And you can see that it will show to you your UN date, jurisdiction, date of search, and action. So we have two types. You have your import and extract. So extract represents purchasing, extracting the data from Accra and pushing it onto the software, to CAS 360. Import, on the other hand, is that not only you extract, you import it into your company selection, right? So when you see companies, for example, the action is extract, that means that you've only purchased the company's profile, but not necessarily imported it into your company selection. So how do we make sure that you not only that you purchased, but you imported it? So you can simply click on import. So if I were to, for example, I go to my company selection, I would type in little sunshine. You can see it's not on my list. It's because I didn't import it. I've only purchased the data, but I didn't officially import it into my subscription license. So this is a great way tool also for you to simply purchase the business profile as a copy, even if that company is not necessarily your client. You just want to see their business profile. All right, so that's the extract. Otherwise, import is essentially if you want to seamlessly import their business profile data equivalent onto your company selection. Now, to go through that, you can simply click on Search Registered, select Singapore, and again, it will prompt you to set up your payment method. Here, when you're getting started, you want to click on this link over here, which will bring you to the instruction on how to import company data from Accra and also setting up your payment method right here. So I'm going to share this to into the webinar chat as well, just to post this detail. if you haven't set up your payment method yet, this will be the instruction on how to set up your payment details to enable you to use the search registry. Now, going back, because I've already set up mine, I can simply click on continue, and I can search based on a UAN or entity name. So let's say I want to make a SM. I'm looking for a company that's SM. It will do a search for me, or let's say Sunshine. Oh. So what is that in real time is that CAS 360 has an exclusive connection with Accra's database for extraction of business profile. All right. So what with Accra currently has is that they do databases, one for enlargement process purposes, and the other one is for purchasing data from there to the system. Which currently what we have at the stage is to have access to their business profile. Now you can see it will show to you based on your keyword, what are the companies that has those. And you can simply click on extract. And if you want to do a bulk extract, you can simply select, let's say if I have green, extract, and so on. And as you know, because it's a $10 per company extract, it will automatically calculate it to $30. So I'm not gonna purchase that currently, otherwise it will charge our company's company card. So what it does is when you click on confirm purchased, the system will automatically pull out the business profile equivalent data onto and save it onto your search, recent search. So it will look something like this. Now, for example, if I've got this company, this is one that was extracted previously. And this is simply an extract. I haven't imported it into my subscription license. So I have an option to download a copy of the PDF copy of the extract. So nothing much in this company, interestingly enough. But let me just see one example. Okay. Apologies, I had some couple of I hope everybody can see my screen right now. I think there are some technical difficulties that I had. So coming back to earlier, so here what I'm showing right now is a company registration. It's similar to your business profile. Now, as you know that we extract it in $10 instead of a $5, because not only that we are able to extract out the data from Accra, we can also convert it into a CAS 360 data format. So what it means is that you will convert it and save it into your company selection and populate it to the necessary field of CAS 360. It matches whatever exported business profile data that we've extracted out. It will also populate it into the necessary field match into CAS 360. So that's why there's extra cost of it. Essentially, it's an extra additional work also. All right. Now going back, so I'm gonna go back to my this section just to come back over here. Something I need to highlight with importing company data. So a lot of quite a very common question is that what is included into that company imports. So again, as you've noticed, I keep mentioning business profile equivalent data. We can only export that from Accra. We don't export historical transactions. We don't have the company registration extract. This is something that Accra doesn't provide us at this stage, unfortunately. So what we can pull out from them right now, this is what they allow us to pull out from the database. So it's a similar with the BIS file list. So it will provide the BIS file list as well. Now, I'm going to share this a link as well. Hopefully, people you can have this here just to help you to have a bit of idea how to use the extract. Now, going back to my company search registry over here, I'm just gonna add in this section. Now, what you also notice is that you can see that it's multiple extracts. It will show to you the dates and also what are the information that's downloaded as well. Now, we have this section called like re-importing. So re-importing is essentially if you already have purchased this data, right? For example, and you want to re-import it, even if you want to re-import it, this company into the company selection, you can always re-import it. What it does is that it will ask you whether you want to overwrite the extract that you have imported on the 7th of 7th to 24. So these ones, we don't charge for re-importing since you already purchased this data. What, however, we charge is that if you need to go through the whole process of extracting data again from Accra, which means if you go through the same process one more time, some service provider they've purchased, they wanna re-extract whatever data that the client has on the record as up to date because they may think that the data they extracted out 3 months ago might not be the same. You can redo the same process. But bear in mind that doing this, I wouldn't say it's advisable. It's because, firstly, if there are any company changes in the ones in the record of Accra, you can always modify or update it directly to CAS 360 instead. Right? So that's for one of the rule things to take note when you're going through the whole search registry and extract and import. Again, purchasing re-importing is not chargeable. However, repurchasing the company data will be additional charges. All right, so that's how we load the companies in CAS 360, and it's quite long process over here. Hope you had a bit more clear so you can get started. Now, before I proceed with lesson number 2, I'm just gonna quickly go through some questions. All right, so I want to okay, so I have, okay, if I want to forward the documents to the client on the next day, with the date of the current day, in general, want to save my amendment. Okay. Okay, so one of the questions is something that has to do with the dates of the document. So when you are processing a document, right, you can actually leave the document blank. Okay, so this is why I always, I recommend that when you're processing documents, before you even export that, always click onto the option because the option, document option allows you to control the settings, whether it's leaving the document blank, applying it to all documents, even for this, if you want to leave document blank, it won't show the current date. Okay. So it's for you to be able to like key in whatever date that you like to key in, or for them to add in with their signature. So again, in your document options, you have the abilities to switch off or leave the document date blank. So hope that answers the question. Now, I have also a question about if the company is to open or withdraw bank account. So currently, right now, we only have an opening bank account. However, we don't have a withdrawal of bank account at this stage. Again, these if we don't have that process at the moment, you can always add into refund. Otherwise, also if there's something that is very important or necessary or very regular, please send your feedback to the product team to indicate, to let them know that this particular form is a compliance form, meaning that it is a form that you need to submit to ACRA. And then they'll try to build that, try to see and build it in a workflow. The current solution that we can offer at this stage is essentially adding this onto your freeform documents, or you can simply, again, upload in your document production an external document. All right. So now that we've added the company's information on 24th March, so we're now ready to do some simple company changes. So on your lesson number 2, we're going to learn how to do a company address change. So in the lesson 3, we'll cover how do we change a registered office address change, which essentially apply to different types of addresses available onto that company. We're also going to manage how to change the location of the registered CAP. This is essential, particularly setting up the address for your nominee directors, or also your registrable controllers. It may be in a different location as well, and also going through how to navigate your contacts and address. All right, so close this page. Here, we're gonna select this company that we've just set up. 24th March training. You can see this is my UN. If you have already have your set of UN number, if you already have the confirm one, you can just add that in as the confirm. Again, good practice is to always add a registered filing agent. And so this is the general details. I haven't set up my company dates as well. I've already set up. Okay, it's fine. And what I want to do is in this company's profile, I will select the address tab. So here by default, when we first did the whole company registration, this is the registered office address I've selected. So in this first exercise, we're going to learn how to change the address. Now to change the address, simply click on New Address and select Registered Office Address. So here I will change, let's say I'm going to select Shenton Way, for example. And I also have the ability to apply this same address to other types of addresses, whether it's postal, business, or meeting. Similarly for location. So location of the registers will you will have this disclaimer what it includes. That will include your nominee director's registered address and registrable controllers. So maybe I'll add in maybe a different name, click save, and you can see that it lists down all the addresses, including the location of the registers. And as you notice earlier on, just going to close this. Again, the system is prompted that you're preparing a change of address for this company. Therefore, this print toggle will switch on. So here I've got also the prepare forms switched on as well. Now, if you're not ready to prepare that, you can always switch off. If you're simply just adding the data, that's fine. You can do that as well. But if you're doing an official change and really preparing the documents, make sure that this print toggle is switched on. This will enable your prepare forms button. All right, so again, in your document production, on the left-hand side, it will show you the summary of the company action. For this case, is a change of registered office address. And I've got my company change summary and also my director's minutes and resolution. So again, you can see I have my date there. If I want to remove the date, simply leave the document, no date. So the signing partners have the ability to put the date that they want. So to process that and to apply that particular change, I'm going to download this documents. Again, it's the same PDF format. And you will have a copy of that. Right? So that's for the change of a registered office address. Now, another exercise is what we want to do is we want to manage the location of registers kept. So here I will, in my new address, instead of selecting registered office address, I'll select location of the register kept. So here I'll put in Fifth Changi Road, for example. And I can choose which are the registers that are kept to this new address. So let's assume that my registrable controllers or all my registers, for example, are kept in that same location. Here I can simply click save and automatically it will change the registered address where the location of my registers are kept, including for both registrable controllers and regist. Now, before I can actually proceed to the next exercise, what I also want to highlight is that here, for example, this address, if the address of the registrable controller here is similar to the address of your registered filing agent, by default, once you prepare your AGM and your annual returns, it will indicate as the location of the registered kept is in the registered office, is the address of the registered filing agent. So that will be a default. However, if your registered filing agent address doesn't match up with the location of your registrable controller and nominee director, it will disclose based on the address saved here. So just take note of that, right? So one of few things that very important in the software is that the accurate your data is the trigger, the accurate the trigger will be for preparation of the documents. All right. So that's adding in your registered address for the location of the registered location of the registers kept. Now, the next topic that I want to go through in lesson this lesson is managing your contacts. So as you go through along the process, it will be very common for you to be always using this feature to manage your client's contacts information, particularly if you need to update their passport details, your the email addresses and contacts address. This is where you can manage under your contacts. Again, in this page, you will have your contacts filter. You can filter based on an individual, companies, joint member, and so on. Now, one of the great things about the contacts visitor is we have this what we call not in use. So a lot of times when we are adding contacts into the list, they may not be attached to any companies. So this is an example of one. I have one company over here that's not assigned to any companies. It doesn't have any relationship to any companies at all. So since it doesn't have any, it's not attached to any companies, I can just simply delete that. It's not important. I can just clear that. So this is to avoid any clutter and assigning duplicate contacts. This is a very also important, very useful practice when you're managing contacts information so that you do not assign duplicate contacts and such. Now, also another very useful feature is what we call finding match. So this is one that is also duplicate. If you want to, let's say, see the duplicates, for example, based on full name only, you can see that you had duplicate names. But what you also notice is that this may be duplicate, or maybe this contact has similar names. It happens quite often. But what you also notice is that the birth details, for example, and the address are totally different. So this scenario, you want to be careful not to delete one of the contacts unless you guarantee that this contact is actually a duplicate. Now you can also base it on like first name and surname only. So quite often than not, if for example you have a contact that has multiple credentials, multiple citizenship, they're using multiple passports or ID to set up companies, you will encounter having multiple records of that same person, but different ID numbers and different addresses. So take note that make sure that you don't merge them together or remove that if they are assigned to multiple companies as well. So what's usually essentially most useful is this full company, full name and address. This is a very good example. I've got this contact assigned to a company. He has Office Holding Cash Training Company Hong Kong Limited and a representative for two persons. I've also have one here that's a shareholding to CAS Training. So you can see that it is a very similar contact. And what you can do, if you can see that it's a similar contract, you can select which one to keep. So what it does is that when you click on keep, it will prompt you to consolidate the data, right? To do the merge. So I'm just gonna leave it as it is. So that's how we used a finding matched contacts. So I would highly recommend that use these features because you will be very surprised that there's some of the contacts they are duplicates and they're assigned to different companies, but actually it's the same information, and you want to just merge and keep a much more accurate record. Now going back to the contacts over here, so I've got my individual. So individual, it will see that you've got individuals, and you will also have this visual ID and email screening. Now, I'm not going to cover so much on this feature right now. This is not part of the level 1. However, if you are interested on what this feature can do, again, you can go to Singapore Help and search for visual ID. So visual ID, we do have this verification feature, which allows you to run an email screening based on the ID record you've already stored. So you have $5 based on the basic and $7 based on with adverse media. And we also have one called request ID, means that if you have a contact that you don't have the record of their ID yet, you can request them to do it for you, to add in the information, do the background check, the backend, and Visual ID will send you a report of their email screening if it's a high risk profile based on their ID itself. So we do have options as well, which is whether you want an automated reminder, email complete a verification, and also request to store ID biometric. So this one is a little bit more trickier. So we do allow it to switch on, but if you're not comfortable or your clients are not comfortable with keeping the biometrics, you can switch off this option as well. So again, this is a paid services that you can use. If you're already using other service provider, that's fine as well. This is essentially on a per contact level of ID verifications. Now, so I'm going to straight to how we manage the contacts. So I'll use an example of my contacts right here. I've got my contacts, and to manage and edit your contacts is you can simply click on the profile of that person. So here it shows to me my full details, postal, birth dates, ID, and so on. Now, if you want to add in more new features, or rather more information about that contact, you can simply click on add information and select the category. Let's say if you have an address and you want to add in alternative address, you can add it here. Because I've already had in my address a contact address, so let's for example delete this part first. Let's assume that I don't have a contact address for this person. I can simply go add information, add address, select contact type, and I will add in the address of my choice. You will see it. Now, across all these details, you have the ability to also amend if you make a mistake. So for example, the ID. Let's assume this one example. Let's say you make an incorrect record of the data. So you can simply click on the text in blue, and this will allow you to make amendments. So maybe it was E, it's instead of F, and then you can add in the issue date and expiry date, for example. So that's similar across all contacts data. If I need, let's say the person has changed, have added a middle name, the surname has been, let's say the person has been married or changed its surname, you can change it. So again, simply click on the text in blue to amend the details. So for email address and contacts, if there's a changes, you can add on the notes as well. And if you don't have this in the contact, again, go back to your add information and add in your professional identification, your communication details, and so on. So So now, or I think now the practice is that to collect their email address and numbers, particularly for your shareholders as well. This has been quite an important step. So do make sure that you add this information for them. All right. So you can go through this process in the contacts as well. You can see under relationship tab all the companies that it's in relation to this contact. So what's great about this contacts page is it will show to you which companies that this contact is attached to. As an example, I've got this ARAPI XBRL testing company, and yes, a director officer shareholdings. It's also like with annual returns, bank accounts, yes, a signatory to multiple bank accounts. Company is a contact to multiple companies. Also registrable controller. So it's a great way for you to keep track which contact is assigned to which companies. And in this, in the similar profile of a contacts profile, you also have the ability to see this section over here. This is where our email compliance tab that allows you to store any supporting documents, whether it's to add in their ID, for example, their passport record as a supporting document. You can see that it's already expired over here, and add in the supporting documents. All right, so that's how we managed the contacts. Now, going back to your contacts page, similarly for global address, this is where you can create new addresses, find the matches for addresses as well. You can see right over here. And also see how many companies or record that this address is used. So one example is this one. If I were to click the full usage report, it will display to me which companies or contact is using this address. You can test this out for your own company address, example, because and you will notice that a lot of your clients will be using your address as a registered office address or even their contract address, for example. So this is a great way if you know that who is using your address, for example. So again, similar to the process, here you can, to edit the information, if you made a mistake on the record or you just want to update, you can simply click on this option button, click edit, and simply make the amendments. Now, what you'll notice in the whole process of address as well is that every time you create an address, there's a country over here. So when adding an address, it will prompt you to select the address. It will follow a specific field. For example, if I have Australia, you can see that the address field will update based on their Australia style. Similarly for Singapore. So what you'll notice here is that a lot of times, like, why is there like a Singapore next to it? It's because this is just simply an indicator that, hey, this company is a Singapore address. Similarly to Hong Kong. Okay, this record is a Hong Kong address. A good rule of record for here is that when you're adding in an address as well, make sure that you fill in it as per how we fill up a oh, my postpone. Okay. This address right over here, and make sure that to follow the Singapore address style, put in the town and city and then postal code. Right, so that's how we manage a global address in CAS 360. Now, the next thing that we want to cover, so we have still quite a bit more, is your officer's changes. So here, what we're going to learn in your lesson number 4 is some kind of common company changes, which is your officer's changes. So again, we're going to select your company, search into this search engine for company selection, and select the profile. And here we've already set up your officers. So first exercise I want to do for a appointment of an officer's change is appointing a director. Here in my officers tab, I will select add officers, and I'm going to select a new officer. So here I've got my status as appointment and selected as attendee. So again, the system automatically detects that there's a company change. Therefore, it will automatically prepare a appointment of directors Jenica Rogers as a director for 24th March Training Company. So you can see that I will have my director's resolution, and I will also have my Form 45 documents as well. So again, you can see that the date is still there. If I want to remove the dates, again, simply switch on the leave all the documents blank so that when you prepare the documents, you will not show any dates. Right? So in this exercise, what I'm going to do is instead of clicking download, I will send this to the client, the officer itself. So yeah, I'm just going to simply add in switch off my digital signing. So this one, we're not going to cover today's section. And here I've got my addresses. And instead of downloading the document, you can see I've already got the address of the people that I need to send this document to. And if there's any other people that they needs to be included, you can add it in as well. So also something before you can send the email, there's a email template that you can select. This one will cover this a little bit more on level 2. And in this sections, you can see that I have my my email templates. So by default, you can see that this is the sample of my email template that sends with from CAS 360. Now, so this is one of the new features we've released out called Ronnie, which is our AI assistant to help you with smart email. What it does is that it recreates the email template. So you can see earlier, the email template was not so much quite nice or not, style. So what it does that depending on the document you're sending, you're processing, it corrects the way the format. And again, you can always reiterate again the way you want to design your email template. So also a very quick tip, if you do want to see how the email looks like in an inbox of your client, for example, you can always CC your email as well. Now here, I'm going to just click send, and this will go directly to the inbox. So if you remember, whenever we sent in this send directly from CAS 360 to your client, you will have a copy of that email in your messages. Under your outbox, you can see this is what we have sent out. So do a bit of a refresh to see what it looks like. Sorry. So you can see this is how the layout looks like and the attached document. So that's the power of using the CAS 360 email features to automatically send your documents to your client's inbox. Now, going back to CAS 360, so that's how we do a appointment of officer in the software. Now, another option that we can do in your officer's change is resigning. As again, similarly, we're going to use the same company and select March training. And here, we're going to go back again to your officers tab. And this time around, what we'll do is we will resign one of the officers. So here I will simply resign George Dunn. And to resign, I could simply click on attend the meeting status, or rather the status itself, and select resign. So once I click on ticked, it will allow me to prepare again resignation of the documents. So again, similarly, we've got your resolutions, and you also have your resignation letters. Because this is a resignation, so therefore it will prepare resignation letter. So what you'll see is a very basic template. And again, this can be customized in your document templates. All right. So that's how we prepare the changes. Again, similar process. You can always go and prepare the documents. And something that I also want to share is that if you're used to doing a combined resolution, for example, let's do this resignation of George Tan, followed by that appointment of Jenica Rogers. So first thing I want to show is in CAS 360, you have the ability to reprint transaction. To do so, you can simply switch on the print toggle, and you'll notice that in this section, in your prepare forms, not only that I wanted to prepare a resignation, but I also want to reprint appointment of Jenica Rogers. So here I click prepare forms, and on the left-hand side, you can see that I have a breakdown of what is the company changes occurring. And here the document pack will then update as well based on a appointment and resignation. So this is an example of a combined resolutions, which allows you to have all the company changes that occur for that day to combine in one single resolution. Now, this is not just limited to officers alone. If you are doing a share transaction, we can also do a combined resolutions for that. And again, not only it provides you your Form 45, but it also generates the resignation letter in relation to resignation of George Dunn. So again, we can send, I'm just going to switch off this. This is by default. Similar process, you can send the document to the client, rewrite your smart email templates, and send it directly to the inbox. And click send. And this, again, same similar process. You will have a copy of this email with the attached document. All right, so that's how we prepare a company changes in CAS 360 for officers. Now, the next exercise I want to go through, so we've gone through the opening of bank accounts. So the next topic I want to go through is your members changes. Um, Before I proceed with this, I'm just going to quickly go through the question. So I think I had one that just came through about a opening of bank account. All right, so this is essentially opening another bank account and preparing a resolution for the next bank account. So again, I mentioned if you want to prepare another resolutions for opening of bank account, instead of the ones imposed in corporation, you can always go to freeform. What you need to do is first you need to create a template, save that template, and then click prepare freeform. So this one I can't really add, as I do not have enough time to go through this whole process, but I would perhaps advise you to again do reach out to our live chat support. So they will give you an right advice on how to process this. What right now I can suggest is either freeform, or you can simply create it separately outside of the software. So it's really up to your much more comfortable process. Now, all right, so I'm now going to jump into the next one, which is doing a share transaction. So I'm going to try to speed up a little bit, as I know I have quite a number of features I still want to cover over here. Again, we're going to select the same company, 24th March training. And here, this time around in this tab, we will select shareholders. So earlier on, we have already processed or add in or allotted a shares during the whole company registration process, which was for Jennifer and also a corporate shareholder. So to add in a new appointment or new members, simply select add transaction and add in your allotment. Now here, it will automatically select your today's date. And what I want to do is I will allot a new shareholder. Again, this one, if it's a beneficiary owner, you can simply switch on the toggle. I'll skip that process. And this time around, I will allot a different type of share class, preference shares. So if there is a subclass, you can put that in. I'll put in 100. Your shares payable in cash, otherwise, or both, or no consideration. You can adjust that as well. And if you recall, again, if this particular new shareholder doesn't have an issued share capital, just put as 0. So because you've already processed a share transaction for the first two, it will automatically create or generate a new share certificate assigned as share certificate number 3. Here, I'll click Save. And again, what you'll see is that the system will automatically prepare the documents, right, for a allotment of shares. So you've got my register of members and also your share certificate. You've also got your applications of shares. And if you want to use the other documents, whether there's a notice of EGM, notice of consent of short notice, again, you can just simply switch on the toggle button, and that will enable that document to be part of that full document set. Now, if you have another PDF document that you want to add for signing, for example, I think there's one question that came through, is again, in your document production, you can just simply upload an external document. Now, do take note that because this is an external document, firstly, the system will not populate the information from your database onto this external document. Reason being is because it doesn't recognize completely that document. It's I would say a foreign. It's a foreign document, and this is and therefore it's not part of an actual system default. Therefore, whatever information of the directors, the shareholders involved in this transaction will not populate in this form. So just take note. Again, I'll click on download. And I will have the full set of document pack based on the toggle buttons that I've switched on. All right, share certificate. And if I go all the way at the bottom, so you remember that I have uploaded an foreign, a foreign or external document, PDF, it will be included into the document pack as well. So that's allotting a shareholder on CAS 360. Now, the next exercise under the same category of the shareholder is also doing a share transfer. So similarly, under your shareholders, we're going to select the add transaction and select your share transfers. So in this format, what we're going to do now is we'll be selecting a transfer of shares. So for example, with this corporate shareholder, and we want to transfer it to Winnie Tan. So here, let's say I want to transfer 400 shares. Again, if there's no issued capital. So this time, right, I'm just going to add in issued capital for this new shareholder. You can select whether it's the meeting status attendee or if it's a chairperson. And automatically, again, it will assign a certificate. So by default in the system, the practice is it will create a balance certificate, and the actual certificate issued to the new shareholder will be issued certificate number 5. Now, if you do not wish to practice or do a balance certificate, you can simply click none, and that certificate number 4 will automatically be assigned to the new shareholder, which is Winnie Tan. But here I'll just remain as balance cert so you can have a bit of idea how the certificate is assigned. So here I click save. And you can see again, the prepare forms has been switched on to prepare the documents. All right, so in this process, something also want to share in your document production page is this feature called document reminders. So in your document production, next to your download button, all downloads or send all, you have the ability to download or send the document to the client and set up a what we call automatic document reminders. So for this particular transaction, I will select download all and set up automatic document deadline reminders. So here you can see I've already have a PDF copy exported out from CAS 360. Closing that, and back into my software, it will prompt me to set up a automatic reminder to my clients. So let's say on 24th at a specific time of the day, let's say I would do 05 maybe at 8:08. So now it's 8 p.m. I want to do 8 p.m. And you can, let's say over here, I can select the email address. I've got a default document deadline reminder. Okay, so I cannot send it anymore. I'll change it to 909. So document deadline reminder, you have a template as well that you can create. We'll not cover that. I will cover this again. You can see attached documents and click save. So your document deadline reminder as well, you can create up to 6 reminders. So by the time I hit this time at 5:09, I will receive a reminder. So let's assume that I this inbox over here is the client's inbox. And these are the past ones I had before. So by the time it hits 5:09, I should be receiving an email from CAS 360 that to remind me of the document. Now, you'll also be able to see, again, similarly, if you go to your messages and you go to Outbox, it will show to you that the document reminder has been sent, and you can preview the copy of the email that you sent to your client as a reminder. Not this one, actually this one over here. This is the reminder, the attached document. And in your client's inbox, it will show as, I think it should show already. So by system default, it should already send out. I think it's taking some time or different. Yeah, so usually I think I've keyed in incorrect email address, but even in your outbox, you will be able to find a copy of that email that you send to your client or document deadline reminder. So again, when you are processing a document, setting up a document deadline reminder, you can set up to 6 reminder itself. And that can be set up under your document production page. So another thing that we can process under your members changes or shareholders tab is your nominee shareholders. So again, we'll go back to that same company and we'll select shareholders tab. And this time around, you can see in my shareholder, we have this button called shareholder nominee shareholders. So here I can add in my nominee shareholder, select my nominator, and click Save and Prepare. Now, so also another feature in your document production is what we call document review. So let's say you have a manager before you process any documents for signing, for approval, you want to make sure that all these informations are correct. So to do that, you can simply switch on the toggle button to flag it to your reviewer, which means to your manager. So let's say I assume I want to tell my manager, my boss, please check the nominee directors or nominee shareholders ID information, for example, right? So this is the information, and I can just put it in the email. And you can see what you'll notice is that it no longer allows you to download the document. It will prompt you to send the document. So what I'll do, click send, and there's no digital signing. I think this is not a good, okay. Let's switch off this feature, right? And I click send. Now, what happens is that with the review is that it will not send to the client first. So let's assume I am the manager who needs to review that document that registered. So you can see in my dashboard, I have a notification prompting me to review one of my staff members' document. So here you can see I've got quite a number of rejected ones. You can see, and here I can click on review documents. So once I've actually reviewed the documents and I'm happy with that, I can just simply tell to my staff, all information is correct, and I can approve. So automatically what happens is that it will now prompt the system to send the email to the client from the preparer's, from the manager's account instead of the preparer, right? So let's, in cases where you assign somebody to do the preparation, but if the manager is the person who will be sending that document, this is a usually good process. Here, I can simply click send, and it will send directly to my client. So example of these ones that rejected, you can see I don't have, it's rejected. If it's rejected, usually what happens is that you can see over here. Usually if it's accepted or rejected, as the preparer, the staff member who just prepared the document, I will get a notification on the bell icon if whether it has been accepted by my manager or rejected. So that's how we do a document review, switching on the document review features in your document production page. Now, going back to the same company, the next thing we're going to process in the same category will be your registrable controllers. Now, again, we selected the company and select shareholders. And this time around, we want to prepare the notices for a registrable controllers. One of the prerequisite things that you need to make sure of when preparing a registrable controllers is you want to make sure that you switch on this toggle button over here. So by default, when you're setting up a new company, or if you have a new company, registered company, in your registrable controller, it won't allow you to add in the data for registrable controllers. So to enable that, simply switch on the toggle button and go back to registrable controller button. And you can see right now that it now enables you to add in the registrable controller details. So here, if you view, you recall that I have add in or I've already prepared the registerable controllers. Again, adding in the registerable controllers, you can simply add in quite straightforward to add in the information. Click save and prepare. And what you'll see is that you have a register of registerable controllers and also the confirmation letter. Now, most of the time, what we want is also the notice. So here, I'm not going to generate this document first. What I want to do is I'll close this and just save this information. All right, I think let me just quickly add in another one. You can see that I have a registerable controllers right now. So here, instead of preparing the documents again, it just shows you it has a missing document, which is a notice. What you're going to do is that you go back to the main dashboard under shareholders and again select registerable controllers. And this time around, we're not going to add in the details. We will now print the controller's documents, which are your notices. So you'll get a notification to prompt you the notice of registerable controller, whether it's required. You can select the notice, say when you're done. It also asks you for its signatory. And you can add in a multiple notices as well. And prepare the documents. So you can see right over here that I have prepared the registerable controller for preparing the notice, first thing foremost, and also appointing them as a registerable controllers. So here, my registerable controller will be updated as of the new changes. And also that will include my notices. So for cases like if you recall earlier when you're doing company registration, at the post-incorporation process, that is when they will only prepare the notice as well. Here in the whole process with the existing company, it's only when you click print registerable controller that it will allow you to prepare. So again, if I get going to go to registerable controller, prepare the documents part, assign those respective controllers, it will help you print the notices. Right, so that's how we generate the notice. Again, you have an option to send it directly to the client. I'm gonna go back sticking to downloading the export into PDF, and I will have a copy of that. So that's how we prepare the registerable controllers documents and your nominee shareholders in your shareholder tab. Now, before I processed, so I believe I've already answered a couple of the questions as well. Any questions so far for the registrable controller? All right. All right. So I'll just quickly check my. All right. So the last company change that we can process in CAS 360 is what we call the company name changes. So again, similarly, we're gonna go into your company tab, and here we will select the same company, 24th March, and select the profile. To change the company name and process the documents, we're gonna select this tab over here called name registration. So first, what we'll do is click on add name, select the company name, and type in their new address. So March 24 services, for example. I can also select my suffixed resolution date. I can click save or simply save and prepare the documents. So similarly, it prepares the document pack required for a change of company name, which includes your notice of members and notice of consent of short notice. And also a summary document, company change summary for that transaction. Right, so I have done that. So you can see right over here when I go back, the March 24, it's still pending. All right, so to remove that pending, usually what happens is that if you are in a pending process of changing the company's name with Accra, it will put as pending. If you want to remove that pending options, you can simply go to the option button and remove pending status. So here I'll just put in 25th effective date. So by tomorrow, it will change the effective date. And you can see that when I type in the company name, that's the previous name. If I were to search into my company selection list, 24th March, you won't be able to see it anymore, right? So in the list, it's now been changed to March 24th. So here in global, what you will notice in the global is that here, why is it that it shows still 24th March? It's because sometimes when we forgot that this company has already been updated, you will still be able to search using the global search function, but it will indicate as previous company name. So that was the previous company name. So if I were to click on that company, it will bring me back to my name registration to show me that, look, this 24th March company has already ceased and it has been replaced to March 24th Service Private Limited. So that's how we processed a company name change. So this is a very quite common change that occur quite regularly. So that can be processed again by simply going inside the company profile and selecting under name registration. All right, so now we've reached the last lesson of today's session. I know it's quite a bit of a long one that we have. It's called the global documents. So global documents topic can be found on the page 13 in the manual. And this topic is going to cover more on how we can actually keep track of all the documents that we've exported out and also sent to the client. Now, there's two ways to navigate the documents. One is when you go to your company profile. So let's use the same example as March 24th. All the things that you've exported or sent directly from the software to your client will be saved under the Documents tab. You can see that along these exercises, we process a company registration, post incorporation, some update of the company's address, share transaction, registrable controller, and even up to now, which is the change of company name. So every single time you send or export a document, the system will automatically create a folder and a copy of what you have prepared, what you have exported, and what you have sent out. Now, to view that folder, again, simply go to your option button and select attachment. So you can see over here, this is what we have prepared. We've downloaded it off earlier on. So this was the copy just now. It is a very similar copy stored into a folder under March 24 service profile. So let's assume a good usually practice is if your client is sending you a signed document, what you can simply do is attach a signed document. Again, I'm just gonna simply add in a dummy document. So upload that as a supporting document, and you can change the status of the documents, document received, for example. Received or processed. This is to help you keep track of the status of the document, whereabouts the document as well. In this folder, you can see that it has a very generic file name, and to be able to see what exactly that happened, you can simply expand out the changes to help you indicate what was the company name change that occurred. So it was a March 24, it was renaming the company to March 24 Service Private Limited. So each of the folder will also create a trace number for you for tracking. And when you go to, again, going back to that option button, we have this option called history. This is a very good way to also track the status of your document from the preparation of the document to the time that it was sent and or received. So another example you can see right over here, I've got different types of registrable controller prepared. And I want to view what the system has prepared. So I can simply go to my attachments. And these are my list. So this is one way to view what are all the companies, what are all the company changes documents that prepare specifically for this company. So with this one on a contact company level, company documents. Now, another way to navigate to see not just for one specific company, but also all companies is to go to your navigation toolbar and select Documents. In Documents, it will show to you to all across all companies, not just for this one particular company, but all across. This is a good way for you to help you keep track of all the others combined list of documents. So let's say you wanted to know if you're using a digitally signed document, digitally electronic signing or digital signings, you can use the document alert filter to filter which are all the documents that was electronically signed across all companies. So you can see over here, I've got October 23, 18 September company, CAS 360 Singapore, and they will have a trace number. You also have the status DocuSign signed by the document. So here I could view the history, an example. This is one of the example that if you use a digital signing, if you link up your digital signing account, which is either your Adobe Sign, your Fuse Sign, DocuSign, or Please Sign, enterprise accounts, you'll be able to utilize this. So here I've got the DocuSign sent to client, and once the client, all the signing partners have signed the document, it will send or update your status and document, and it will also bring back the digitally signed document. You can see over here it's DocuSign. So I'm going to cover this a little bit more on level 2, but I just want to give you a bit of an idea what's the difference between company documents and global documents. Now, also another thing that you can do in your documents as well is the ability to upload or create a folder. So let's say I want to upload for my March 24 company. And let's assume that you're using a separate email screening report. So I can just have a email screening report document, and I can add in my documents received. Again, attach any document. And click Save. So you can add in any external, create a folder and add in your external documents. You have some users that what they do is that if you're not using the system's AGM process, for example, or you have your historical AGM documents, what they'll do is that they would create an example, a folder, AGM documents. I would say document receive. Let's say as of 2025, for example, and then create a folder. Then you can save all the past AGM documents as a copy and stored it within that particular company, for example. So it gives you, it has a this depository of documents, not just prepared by CAS 360, but also allow you to store other documents that you've prepared outside of the software. Now, going back to the global documents, another feature that I like to highlight as well in your global documents is what we call advanced filter. So here, if you want to be able to search for particularly based on your tags, let's say I want all the annual return, for example, or company post incorporation documents, for example. That's status document prepared. So I just simply stack in the filter, apply the filter, and this will prepare or take out or list down all the documents with a post-incorporation document file with the status as prepared. Now, this particular filter, you can save it as well. So to do that, simply you can save this filter, or you can clear that. For example, let's do this similar. When you tag, or rather stack the filters, let's say post incorporation and then status as a document prepared, what you can do is that you can save the filter for future use. So post incorp documents and click save, so that in the future, if you want to have to automatically pull out post incorporation documents with a status document prepared, you no longer have to set up the filters. You can simply select the save filter. So an example over here, I've got already an example. If I do my save filters, you can see I want to see all the rejected annual return filing, for example. I can just simply apply that, and it will show to me all my rejected lodgements. So in the past, we can lodge directly to Accra, but now they've currently disabled that feature. So hopefully they will get back to it again. They'll switch on that again for us to allow you as a user to lodge your annual returns. But for now, this has been switched on. So this is an example of using filters. So again, if I also want to, let's say, all the annual return that's manually filed, I could see that all my annual returns that I've marked as manually filed. So usually, again, how do we update this is by simply clicking it and selecting as manually filed. So this is the fast way to also do a filter without having to stack up your filters to search for a specific document files. All right, so that's pretty much for a CAS 360 level 1 session. I know it's a little bit long for the level 1. I want to make sure that I could share as many information as I can. So I'm just going to go back to my, I think, level 1 slides. Now, before we closed, any questions so far? So before we end this session. All right. Now, before anything else, I just want to a gentle reminder that we have an upcoming event happening this coming April at ISCA Building, Cecil Street. Actually, it's not user group anymore. We call it a product update, CAS 360 product update. Again, earlier, if you recall, you can register for that free event. This is to essentially present to you the latest features and topics that were not covered for this training, and also to show to you what we have recently added into CAS 360 for the last 3 months. All right. So any questions? All right. Now I'm going to just leave my email address onto the webinar chat. All right. If you don't have any questions, Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for sticking around for this long to go through the whole CAS 360 level one, the fundamentals of the software, from your managing the company data to preparing the company, different types of company changes to your company registration and managing your documents. Thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, again, feel free to drop me an email. Otherwise, reach out to our live chat personnel or log a support tickets. And if you have feedback, do share it to our feedback button as well. And our respective as representative from support team will be assigned to your queries as well. All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a great evening ahead.